to be talking about mortgage note investing and the ins and outs of why we're in the business, what keeps us excited about the business, and what we're doing to grow our business in this time of crisis in the world. Just kidding. But all depending on where you're at and why we decided to do this, we're just kind of going to chat about the note industry. I think a lot of people don't know about it. So if you're interested in knowing more about the note industry, why people get into it, why we run with this game, and how we believe we get absolutely more passive income than others, then you're in the right place. And we're going to talk about his deal that he just made as well, and what it takes to have the confidence to also be in the business. Okay, so we're going to have him introduce himself and tell them where they can find you.
Yeah. So my name is Brian, Brian Royster. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn. Just look up my name. Last name is Royster if you want to find me. I live in San Diego now. I'm originally from Maryland. Got introduced to the note business in March or so of this year, February, March. After trying a few other different investment avenues, this one's kind of fit what I was looking for, lifestyle wise and, income wise. And so, yeah, learned about it, dove right in, joined the NIU group and just tried to start knocking down notes. And yeah, I'm still fresh, but it's been good to me.
Yes. Okay. So first question is, when you looked at notes and you were like, okay, I've been trying. First of all, what were the other things you were trying before you tried notes?
Okay. So, top of last year. All right. So, let's start this way. My goal as an investor, what I was looking for is to just kind of free up my time and my opportunity to use my time in the way that I see fit because I have a job, a couple jobs that aren't necessarily what I'm passionate about, and but I got to pay the bills and whatnot. So I'm like, all right, how can I find a way to make sure that I'm getting my bread while still keeping my time free, so that I can do the things I really want to do. So I started looking into wholesaling mobile homes at the top of last year. I did a couple. It was like creating a whole third job for myself. It was not what I was looking for. So I was like, all right, cool. That's not it.
Absolutely.
You know, and then from there, I was like, okay, well, I might get into multifamily. I hear people talk about multifamily properties all the time. And around the time I was looking for multifamily, I met a guy who was like, well, you could collect, a couple $100 a month on, rent and all after expenses, or you can go buy a business, and collect a couple thousand, and for the same price that you would pay for a multifamily property or a single family property, go buy a business and collect a few thousand a month versus a couple hundred. I'm like, cool, smart, So go through the whole process. I started looking into laundromats. Really like the laundromat industry. I still like the laundromat industry. I definitely buy one in the future if the opportunity came about. But had one under contract, went all the way through the deal. The deal fell apart at the very end. Didn't work out. It was like, all right, whatever. I learned how to buy a business. So the next time I want to take a shot at it, I know what to do. I can do it. Cool. But right around the time the laundromat deal was kind of fading away, I was introduced to notes and went to a little seminar, a little day-long seminar, and I was like, this just makes all the sense in the world. This is exactly what I'm looking for. It's passive income. You're buying paper, so even though you're collecting that monthly cash flow, you don't have to deal with the hassles of owning a building, tenants and repairs and, all the stuff that comes with property ownership.
Facts.
Because that's not really what I'm interested in. Some people love that stuff. Some people love to fix and flip and XYZ. Me, I just want to make my money. I want to keep my time as free as possible so that I can get back to doing the things I love to do. So notes was perfect for me. And then yeah, ever since then, learned the game, still learning the game. And yeah, I think notes are going to take me to some pretty high places.
Got you. Got you. That was perfect. That was perfect. So for anybody who's out there who's listening, the biggest thing that comes from what he's saying is that when you are looking for real passive income, right? There's a lot of people who pitch real passive income and money that's going to come to you. They're like, okay, buy a bunch of rentals. It's passive. Eventually you have 19 rentals, right? But it's like you got to do 19, 20 deals of building that business before you actually get passive. It doesn't exist in the beginning, right? It doesn't start off that way. And in the note industry, it does start off that way, right? You do the front end work in the position of doing what's needed. And then once that it's invested, once it's going, you just receive monthly cash flow. And if something does go wrong, most of it is doing paperwork, right? You don't lose an extreme amount of value. You just have to do paperwork correctly. That's where the education part kind of comes in. So let me ask you a question. So when I first started learning about notes and started to like listen to Desi and, you know, go through his courses and stuff like that, there's always times where just listening to him, it just like strikes his little bit of motivation on just like what is capable in the business. Have you had any moments where you're just like, wow, okay, I'm even for sure even more in the right place, you know? So have you had any of those moments?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just listening to Desi, to Patrick, to the other students talk about where they started, you know, versus where they've gotten to. Patrick in particular, you know, he's like, yeah, I learned notes, you know, 4 years ago or so. And in 4 years, he went from, you know, working his whatever job he was working to wealthy in
Yeah.
4 years just off buying notes. Desi, you know, started off in real estate, was doing real estate for decades, found notes and was like, yeah, this is my new thing, you know. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had those moments. And I mean, again, the business itself, just as I've gone through the courses and learned what notes really are, it just makes sense. I mean, the motivation comes from the fact that, like, it's like I said, it's exactly what I'm looking for.
Exactly.
Um, so yeah.
So you now are coming up on making a deal right now, or you already
Hmm.
solidified a deal. Okay.
Hmm.
So talk to them about the process of solidifying the deal. Like this is, you know, got an investor here, found somebody here, and then, you know, able to connect the dots and make this much on the back end.
Yeah, so I found this note online on PaperStack, just searching through the inventory that they had available. Um, Smaller note, you know, it's on a property in Michigan. Um, you know, the it's got like 63K UPB on it. I was able to purchase for just over 50K. So nice size return there. There's still the majority of the mortgage term left on it. It's a 10-year note. There's like all just under 9 years left on it. You know, um, nice, you know, nice monthly P&I. But yeah, I mean, I found the note online, reached out to the seller, you know, did my negotiating, uh, and then once we agreed to a price, went to find a lender, you know, hypothecation partner. Hey, you know, I'm looking to borrow, you know, like 55K at 70 or 7% rather, you know, who's interested, you know, and yeah, was able to, you know, pull down that note and start collecting those monthly payments. Yeah.
Monthly incomes. So on that note, when you bought it at the, when you so let's I'm going to speak in layman terms for the people who are listening. So when you bought that note at a
Hmm.
discount, right, guys? If you guys are listening to what he said, he bought the note at a discount, which means the price of the note was at, you said 60 something, 60.
Yeah. So there's a 63K UPB on it, unpaid balance, but
There you go.
the seller was asking for 60.
Got
He
you.
was asking for 60. I offered him 47 at first. He was like, can't go that low, but I'll come down to 52. Countered as 52 at 50,500. He went for that. So yeah, got a nice little discount on it.
Okay, guys. So what he's saying is that when we buy notes, there's a value that is what the note is worth, how much they have to pay back over time, the promise to pay back. And when you're a note investor and you're going in to buy notes, if you can buy a note at a discount, that creates equity in the asset of the note immediately for you. So when he receives the note, that immediately creates equity into the business of how much you can make on your money back, right? Because you got to
Hmm.
understand that the original note has a percentage that you're making back on that payment over time. And now when we come in and buy it at a discount, we create a even bigger gap and even more profit in the note buying process for people. And that's what he's saying. And that's what he's saying in layman's terms when he says PPI. Because I know sometimes I used to, when we throw the language out there, he now is now he knows the language. He's using the language. He understands the language. He's using the vocabulary, and I know that one, it's amazing to listen to because you just realize that he's been consuming the information. He made his deal, went through the process, understands the contracts, things like that, and that's what makes someone like him, which we call a rhino, so amazing for investors, right? So for people who invest in rhinos like him, which is he'll be able to go in there, find a note, get a deal, and then be able to get you, 6 to 8% back on your money based off of the note deal that he provides. And then you have double collateral. You've collateraled on the actual piece of paper, the IOU note. And then if that doesn't work out, you also get collateral to the house, right? So it's double collateralized investment for him. And that's why also when you say, when people hear this in the real estate space, like he's like, oh, I went out and I asked people if they wanted to do this. When you get into the business, you realize that you're actually such a great opportunity for people. You're such a great opportunity for people. So you can have that kind of confidence where you're like, hey, listen, I know there's 1,000 options out there for you to invest your money, but as a rhino, I'm a good option. Probably one of the best options, right? To secure your money and put you in a good position. So when you're out talking to somebody, how do you feel about, let's go from an outside perspective. How did you ask, or where did you put it out in the world that you were looking for someone to partner with you?
Facebook groups, LinkedIn, just reaching out to people in my phone, people that I've connected with, people that I know already invest in real estate. I went to a real estate meetup the other day and was just talking to people. What do you do? Oh, I'm a note investor. What's that? And meeting people who already, they already invest in, single family, multifamilies, whatever their niche is. And I'm like, okay, well, I buy mortgages and basically take place of the bank. So I'm collecting monthly payments every month without having to, take care of a property. And they're like, you can do that? I'm like, yeah, you can do that, and so then, then it's like, oh, I'd like to learn more. And so, even though they're not necessarily partners with me right now, it's like, hey, if you do a fix and flip or whatever, and you just pulled in, $30K and you're waiting for that next opportunity, let's not, partner with me and I'll go buy a note and get you 8% back on your $30K while you're waiting for that next opportunity to come. And then we'll just work it that way. So, I mean, it's just talking to people, you're still going to run into your skeptics that are like that. When something's unfamiliar to people, they tend to meet it with fear initially, but once you kind of explain it a little more, they're like, all right, that sounds like something I'm interested in.
Yeah. And one thing I learned is that your personal confidence in it will determine how long they can be a skeptic. Right? Because I get people who they're like, oh, well, I know this, and this. And I just look at them like, everybody don't know everything. One thing I do know is I know your business. I know it's been around just as long as my business, but I play the games of the banks. And have the banks been losing when it comes to mortgages and how much money they're making? They haven't. So you're telling me your method is by who? Who taught you your method? Well, the banks are my method. I'd rather be a banker with real estate properties on the back end, owning the collateral and making money consistently and never having to go run around and make the next deal. And every investor I make a deal with, they're with me for a long period of time. They start collecting payments. And then guess what? They get more money and they're like, oh, this has been easy. Hey, can I give you some more money?
Yeah.
Can we do another one?
No.
I just got a check in the mail for the last 7 months, right? It's like it's the best long-term marketing strategy in any business model ever when it comes down to the fact that once you do a deal with your investor, once you can get them through that one threshold, for the next 7 months, they're receiving money into their bank account and they get to see it.
Yeah. I mean, just going back to the confidence. I mean, again, I'm still relatively new to the industry, to the business, but just off of what I learned about it alone, I feel confident going out and be like, yo, did y'all know that this exists? Like, I didn't know this exists. Like, everybody's looking to make money. Everybody's looking to make passive income. But like we said in the beginning, like what is truly passive, and I feel like I've found an investment vehicle that's truly passive, that's low risk when you talk about other investment avenues that are market driven. And, we have a catastrophe in the world and your investment is screwed, where mine is a contract. So it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. I'm still owed that monthly payment every month, that's what gives me the confidence to talk about it, because it's like, yo, if you don't want in on this, you're missing out. Like I'm here to present you an opportunity. You know, if you don't want it, then fine.
Exactly.
You know, even like I took this note that I just mentioned to a guy that I know, and you know, it's a 50K note. He's like, yeah, like I won't even look at 50K. He's like, if you can bring me like a deal or a pool, we're talking like $1 million plus, like then we can start taking some of those, because he's been in the game for a long time, so he's familiar with notes. He's been, you know, plenty of real estate deals and stuff. So I'm like, I'm over here trying to take down this 50K note. He's like, yo, let's talk M's, and I'm like, all right, you know, say less. So,
I could have been looking at some M's. My bad. I could have bought
dude,
a portfolio
you know,
made 6 deals and stacked them up for you.
exactly. So it's like that's what gives me the confidence to talk about it, because there's money to be made. Like you said, it's a banker's game. So you're talking to people who know the money game. You're talking to people who, you know, they understand how to make money.
Exactly.
And I'm trying to learn how to make money. So
so a question I know people are always going to ask is, what criterias, right? What certifications, what things do you need to become a note investor?
You need the will to learn and the will to open your mouth and talk to people. And that's really the only certification you need. I mean, obviously I took the NIU course, you know, to learn the ins and outs of the business, but you could very well, you know, go on the internet or pick up a book and learn how to do it. And then, you know, you can source notes from a number of different places. So you kind of got to get creative with who you talk to, where you're looking, you know, to find those deals and whatnot. But you don't need anything. You don't need a degree to buy them or nothing like that, you know. You just got to have the will to do it and the will to talk to people.
Yes. I wanted to ask that question because I think people a lot of times when they're in this business, even on the last mastermind that we were on, when she was like, do you need like a broker's license? Or do you need, I think it was like a few other questions in that state of like, okay, what do you need to be able to do this? And the crazy part is it's such a big money game, and you absolutely need no requirements besides knowing what you're doing. And that really, the more you know and the better your network is, the less chance you have to make mistakes, right? Like that is really what it comes down to. And he took NIU, I took NIU. And the reason why is because, you know, it's ran by just some, let's say, I was going to say OGs, you know, ran by some OGs in the business, as I would say. Desi's an OG overall in business, period. And over the course of being able to get to know him, I actually got, you know, I got hit with one of those statements trying to get into business with him. And he's like, I don't play that small. And I was like, brought me in, set me down. He's like, yo, you're playing too small for me. And I'm like, okay.
It was like noted. Like once you hear that, it's like, okay, let me bring you a big one.
Saying that you won't play with me. You're saying I'm playing too small, and if I'm going to play with you, you got to play at a bigger game. I could accept that. I could accept that.
Which is inspiring. Which is inspiring because it's like you feel like you're small time because you're new or you don't have like hundreds of thousands in the bank. But it's like, okay, well, if we can have these conversations, then obviously there's some big money I could be pulling in where I am right now. You know,
and there's that power of the mind, right? There's the, you know, the difference between being broke mindset and being broke in your head, you know. And the more you learn about notes, you're learning an asset skill, right? You're learning how to acquire assets and create passive income. That alone has so much value to it. And it's like, everybody who talks to you is like, oh, I don't want to give you my money. It's like, we don't even care, because the business works. You know, it's like when you're talking to somebody and you're like asking them for money to start a business or to do business with you, and you may need their money. You know, you don't need their money. You just need some money. And it doesn't have to be from that person. So it never, ever occurs to me when someone's like, oh, I don't want to. All right, cool. Listen, the business works. I don't need your money. I'm giving your money opportunity to make money. So I'm not trying to convince you that you should give me your money, because one thing I do know is that I have a track record, and there's a track record through my mentors and I always say that too, through my mentors of success, right? Like, I'm not just me, I'm a team of people. And, you know, I do a few things. I know a lot, and they do a few things more. And that's how you actually have a really good business model that works, is when you have people who are knowledgeable all around you. So it's like
Yeah.
for this, it's like when you talk to people, they're kind of like, and you get more confident, even the more people that say no, because you're like, yeah, that's cool. All right.
Because they're gonna spin back around when they see the results. They're gonna come back and say, "Hey, what was that thing you were doing again?"
You start asking
You
people
know,
who are closest to you. They're like, I want to do that. I want to do that. Cool. You start buying notes. And this is why even me and him are on this conversation, because you don't sometimes get the opportunity to talk about the things you made happen, right? Like sometimes you like, when the people spin around, they don't even know you made a first deal. Sometimes it feels cocky and weird to be like, yo, I just did my first deal. This is what I'm doing. Da, da, da. So you never create that kind of content. So the importance of being able to have a conversation about what's really happening, what you're really able to do with just the knowledge in your head, right? You paid $7,000 to get into a course, to jump in at that $8,000 program. I think it was like $8,000 program. And you then now are at a place where you have a skill that actually can take people's money and turn them into a recurring, payment in the business model of real estate, right? Of real estate on the back end, which is super crazy because people are like, oh, real estate gets you rich. Yeah, it does. It gets you
it
rich,
does.
get me wealthy.
It does, and I think that's another kind of cool thing about it is as I talk to people, um, and say like, hey, you could probably be earning more money on your money. Even if you only have $5,000, $10,000 sitting in a bank account, if your money's sitting in a bank account, you're earning less than 1% on it typically. If your money is sitting in a high yield account, you're probably earning 3 to 5%. So it's like I come to you and say, hey, I can get you a double collateralized investment that can get you 7, 8, % on your money. Does that sound interesting to you? And people are like, yeah. Or you go to people and it's like, hey, you have a 401k or an IRA that you can't touch for another 20 something years, but they have all your money invested into the stock market or whatever. What if the market crashes and your account goes to hell? Like, what would you do then? And it's like, never thought about that. And it's like, okay, well, why don't you take that money, invest it with me in a note? You're collecting monthly cash flow every month that's just building and building and building in your account. It's a protected asset. You're protected by real estate. So if anything happens to me, anything happens to the note, you have access to the real estate to foreclose if you have to. Your money is safe and secure. It's not market driven. So again, whatever happens in the world, you're still going to get your money. Your account is going to grow. It's not going to go down. So if you're trying to grow your retirement, everybody wants to, retire with as much as possible. This is probably an avenue you should look at. It takes a couple conversations with people. To be honest, I'm still kind of nervous about talking to some people in my immediate circle because I just kind of know how people tend to react to things, especially nowadays when we're being presented with all kinds of opportunities every day. Hey, you can get rich doing this. You can get rich doing this.
Yes.
And it's like, no, I'm not trying to tell you that. I'm trying to tell you that you can protect your bread and you can make real passive income because I'm doing it. I'm not here to pull you into a program or nothing like that. I'm saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. I would love to invite you to participate with me. Let me know when you want to get on the train. Like,
I love saying every time someone's like, oh, everybody has to get rich quick. I'm always like, I'm in the wealth game, baby, not the rich game.
Yeah. And I'm not getting rich quick, truly, but I'm getting rich steady.
We're getting wealthy. And that's why I tell
you're getting wealthy.
Rich is relative. I don't even want to be rich.
Yeah.
I just want to have free time and be wealthy.
Exactly.
I don't even want to be rich. There's no point in time where I'm like, I want to be working super hard, flashy cars. My business is doing millions of dollars, and then it crashes on me, and I'm sitting there. I'd rather be wealthy and quiet.
Yep.
Right. The only reason why I even talk about the things I do is because it halters other investors to come to me. It halters other people to come to me. So I have to say something. I have to talk to people. I got to state what I'm doing. So that's why I do it. But besides that, as soon as I'm making enough and I don't need to actually talk to people on the internet anymore and people don't get to see what I'm doing as an expert, well, that's cool. But at the same time, random people invest in you more than the people you know. You know, you could talk to
Mm-hmm.
six. I've talked to 6 people who I knew, and the random person was like, "Yo, I got 200K." Just
Yep.
met me at a party.
Yep.
It was more like a mastermind party, but you know, it was there full of networking people, and I wasn't even there talking about it. He wasn't even invited to the event. He was just the next door neighbor at this big ass house that they were at, and they came over, and I was walking in my car at the very end of the night. He was walking back to his house. I was like, "Hey, how you doing? You know, you're invited. I see you're doing." He was like, "No, I actually live here. I'm the next door neighbor." I was like, "Cool." And he's like, "What do you do?" We just started chatting, started talking about notes.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "I got a $40 million portfolio that I've been doing real estate." And I'm like, "What?" Talk to him about notes. He talked to me about notes, and he's like, I think I want to get into notes. And he's like, "I'm gonna try to liquidate $1 million on a couple properties, but we're gonna get in. I got 200K." And I'm like,
I can work with that.
I can work with that. And that's such a crazy thing to realize, that in the position of who you are or what you're doing or what networks you're in, it's like, it's that encounter.
Mm-hmm.
It's that random encounter. It's like, let's say not even random. Let's say things are a blessing when you're fighting directly for something. You know, that's how I look at it. I don't really think things happen by accident. I think things happen based off of the way you're moving, your energy creates it, what you're doing, and the Holy Spirit's going to push you forward right into the situation, right?
For sure.
I don't pray blessings anymore. I tell God all the time, I don't pray for nothing. I don't pray for happiness. I go get it. I don't pray for those people, like us. Sometimes the lesson to learn how happy you are is losing something that made you happy, and you didn't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my mom would always say, never pray for what you need, pray to what he needs for you, and keep trying to give it to the world, because absolutely God's not here to gift you anything. And when he does gift you, he only gives you lessons. So be careful what you ask. Be careful what you ask for.
That is true. Be careful what you ask for sure.
Careful what you ask for, especially in the spirit. And the world gives you that. You know, I feel like that's what the world gives you, is like, you know, when you found your investor, you're like, I'm in it. And like I said, I've been working with Desi and Patrick for a while, and I just started deciding in the last year and a half that I was like, I'm going to jump into this business. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I realized that even people who are students in the business take a year to gain is the confidence to know you are doing this. This is what the fuck I do. This is how I introduce myself when you ask me. I have another business, but I don't introduce myself as a marketer. I'm like, oh, I'm a note investor.
Mm-hmm. Because what's the reaction? The hell is that? Yep. Yeah. And it's also cool because you're introducing people to something fresh that most people have never heard of before. You say, I'm a real estate investor. People, oh, okay. Like, a lot of people are real estate investors. You say, oh, I'm a mortgage note investor. You're a what? Like, explain that. Like, you'll never, if you introduce yourself to somebody and say, I'm a real estate investor, they've heard of real estate investor. That's not going to lead to a follow-up question in most situations. You say, I invest in mortgage notes. You're going to get follow-up questions immediately. You know, what's that? What does that mean? How do you do it? Like, exactly. You know,
I always like throwing things out there. I like to make jokes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the people real estate investors pay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the people real estate investors pay. Oh,
what do you do? Oh, I replace the bank. What does that mean? It means exactly what it sounds like. Like, you know, yeah. So, no, I mean, it's an enticing industry. I'm excited about it. Like I said, you know, less than a year into it, but the potential is just limitless. It really is.
What's your 2025 goal?
My 2025 goal is to have 10 to 15 notes in my portfolio. I want to have 10 to 15 notes. I would like to average about maybe $200 a month per note, you know, and really start rolling in some bread so I can start taking some hours off work, you know. Yeah. My 2015 goal. Yeah. So, all right. So my goal is to have 10 to 15 notes in my portfolio and to have an investor list or a lender list of 250 people that I can just pick up and call. You know, hey, I have another opportunity. You said you have 50K in the bank. You said you got 20K in the bank. You know, whatever. You said you have 200. I have an opportunity. You know, so just to build up my lender list, is my goal to 250 people.
Perfection. Let's go.
Hmm.
No, absolutely. So 15. No, so that's an average of a little bit over one note a month.
Hmm.
Hmm. What is your hope at the end of the month or at the end of the year of your monthly cash flow?
At the end of 25,
Hmm.
on say like probably 2,500, 3K a month.
He's like, yo, I can do some things with that.
Yeah,
See in another country, you can be like, yo, I'm out. I'll be living in Bali
yeah,
for 3 months.
yeah. I can take some weeks off with that. Hmm.
Absolutely. So in year one, you want to do 15. In year two, what are you thinking about doing in year two?
50.
50 now. Let's go. You looking
Patrick
for
said the goal is to get to 50 as fast as possible. I'm like, okay, well, we can start looking at pools. We can start looking at portfolios and start pulling down 3, 4, 5 at a time. We can
exactly. He's
knock
like, I got
off
this
big
guy
ones,
told
small
me
ones.
I need $1 million at least.
Yo, once he said that, I was like, okay, the gates have opened.
He's like, how about I just buy
And,
5 notes at once?
that's what, yeah, and he was like, yeah, the people in his circle. I mean, because he knows a bunch of other millionaires who invest in real estate and stuff. He's like, the guys I know, they want to talk 1 million, 5 million plus. I'm like, okay, I will source as many deals as y'all need,
I'll be your guy.
and yeah,
I'll be your guy. Okay. So you are Rhino Lender, and you're out there always looking for people to come jump into, business with you. So if they were gonna find you, right? They watch this video, they're like, "Yo, I need to go find him. I want to invest with him." Where could they find you? You'll best be in contact to be able to
yeah.
invest.
Again, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. First name Brian, Bryan. Last name Royster, Royster. Yeah, I'm always looking for people to partner with, always looking to grow that investor list and introduce people to notes because it's really a life-changing business. Um, and I mean, again, it's only the beginning. So it's only going to grow from here. So get on the list early, get on the list often, and I'll
Facts.
call you whenever I have an opportunity and we can make some money together.
Absolutely. So thank you guys for tuning in and listening about note investing, why we are part of it. Brian's journey, his goals as well. What he's trying to do and how fast he's trying to make it happen. 50 notes is the way that we look at passive freedom in our space, which is you have enough passive income to be able to live on in the United States. So I mean, you can get freedom a lot faster in 50 if you're doing it right. So thank you guys for tuning in. I can't wait to see the next videos. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, comment, whatever page you guys are on, ask questions down below. And everybody have a blessed day.